Hello, how you doing? Mike Bradley here. Hope you are doing well as always. I'm off to London again, and just like I did earlier this year, I went and saw the Jeff Beck guitars on display for the Jeff Beck auction. That was scarily back in January, and it's now November. Gary Moore's estate are putting up the kind of last lot of Gary Moore's guitars, and one of them is Stripe, the famous 59. Gary Moore had two famous 59 Les Pauls. He had what is now known as Greenie, and he had Stripe. And I believe that was the Still Got the Blues Les Paul. So I'm very excited to see that. And he's also the Red Strat is going up for sale as well. So I'm going up to Bonhams in London and gonna go and check out these guitars, and I expect to have a nostalgic moment seeing them all. So here we start off at the auction with Marshalls, and you're going to see a lot of Marshall amps. Something he certainly had in common with Jeff Beck at his auction. There was lots of Marshall amps. Now this one in particular, I love the look of this, the vibe, to use that buzzword. You can pause and look at that if you want, get the details. But a very, very cool looking amplifier. I love the look of this display here. It looks so cool, and I know it sounds cliche, rock and roll, you know, it really, really does. Very cool to see those pedals, especially the voodoo vibe. And when I walked in, I thought that was Stripe. I was just so like overwhelmed by everything, seeing the guitars. But that is in fact a replica of Greenie, which is now owned by Kirk Hammett, but obviously was owned by Gary Moore. Looks great. Looks really, really cool. And like I say, seeing a Roger Mayer voodoo vibe certainly made me want to get one as well. This is the first guitar I saw, and if I remember rightly, the finish on it was quite a matte finish as well. There's some details. It's got some Tom Holmes pickups in it as well. And I remember Phil Hilborn from the old Guitar Techniques magazine, he's got a Les Paul with Tom Holmes pickups in. But kind of a medium action, and you kind of notice that with all the guitars. But yeah, this was kind of a matte satin finish. Here's another prototype of his Les Paul, his signature Les Paul. And I remember when these came out. As well. So it was really cool to see it up close. The Marzio clip lock straps on all Gary Moore guitars, I think. Now this was really cool to see. I've definitely seen him in videos playing this SG, and it looks great. A 1962-63 SG, and he got it for when he played with Jack Bruce in Ginger Baker. Again, kind of medium action. Really good looking guitar. And a nice, yeah, quite a wide neck on that. Another good looking Les Paul. A common theme. And he got this kind of near the end of his life, 2010. But a really good looking Les Paul. I've seen pictures of this before. This Jackson. And a really skinny neck on it as well. Not really skinny, but what you would expect. Now, seeing this 355 is something special for me, because I remember in the early 2000s on VH1, he had this album come out, and was doing promo for it, and he was using this guitar, and I was just like, oh my goodness. And I've got a bit of a love for 335s, 345s, 355s, and seeing this was a big thing for me. I stared at this so much when I was a kid. Lovely neck on it, and just a gorgeous looking guitar. This Telecaster, I remember in a Guitarist magazine video, before it was even on YouTube, just a video, it came with the CD with the magazine, and probably about 2008-9, I think, maybe a bit before, it's hard to remember, but really, really cool to see this Telecaster up close. And here's Stripe. This was one of those, again, just kind of staring at it, you know. Every single wear mark ding. Such an iconic Les Paul, you know. It's when you think of a Les Paul, you probably know this is one of the Les Pauls you think of, and that is proper wear from years and years of playing. You can check out a very when he got it in 88, 89, you can see him in a music video. I'll put up on the screen what it is, and it's really clean, but there it's, you know, knackered in a great way. There he is. This is another 335, which I've seen him play live before. Again, so much vibe and coolness to it, and another special moment to see this one up close. Nice bit of wear. Certainly been played, that guitar. Again, medium action, like on all his guitars. Some info there if you want to check it out. This guitar, I remember seeing him a video of him playing with Thin Lizzy in late 70s, early 80s in Australia, and he's playing that. Check it out on YouTube. So this was really cool to see it. I remember seeing that, and again, what a great looking guitar. And then next to Stripe, this is another such a famous Gary Moore guitar, this Strat. I mean, it's just sex, isn't it? Beautiful wear. You know it's a good guitar when it's been played. No, when you can see it's been played. Nice wear on the neck there. Medium action again. Stunning. This was another one of those moments I was just staring at it, you know. And a slimmer neck than what you can imagine, than you would imagine. Quite a slim neck. And I was shocked as well that there was no checking in the finish, but you could feel that the finish was thin, but there was no checking, which I found interesting. Another one of his 80s kind of heavy metal era guitars, the Hammer, and definitely seen pictures of him having this. I imagine it's been sitting around a bit, so the action's probably gone up quite a bit than what he might have had it set up originally. More Marshalls, and you know, I've got a JCM 2000 sitting right behind me as I speak. He liked his Marshalls, didn't he? Now this Les Paul was bought at GAC, and I remember when he bought this, I think it was in a magazine or some advertisement from GAC, so this was quite cool to see, and looked in really good condition, so I don't know how much he played it. Very good looking SG with a P90 there. Stunning actually, isn't it? Now this is the Fritz brothers. They built this, the Roy Buchanan Telecaster, and I believe he influenced George Harrison in getting his one in the very early 90s. So again, very cool guitar to see up close. Yeah, the Fritz brothers. And this I remember on the front cover of a DVD in about 2002, very early 2000s, when he went back to his kind of rock phase, you know, and I was like, there it is, and it's just a regular Explorer, but it's a Gary Moore Explorer. So yeah, Monsters of Rock Festival 2003. There you go. More Marshalls and a Soldano combo. Some of his stage jackets and shirts and whatnot. I've got a DVD of him playing that Soldano amp in the early 90s it's from. So that was very, very cool to see. A Heritage Les Paul, kind of a prototype for what could have been a Gary Moore signature. Good looking guitar actually, really good looking guitar. Medium action again. There's some info for you if you want to check that out. And it was a beautiful room. A lot smaller than when I went and saw the Jeff Beck auction, but there was less guitars. This is like the third auction of Gary Moore's gear, isn't it? Look at that Marshall. Look at that. That's been played. That's seen some gigs in the back of a van a few times. But no, it was lovely. Wasn't too busy. I really enjoyed it. There you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Seeing some of Gary Moore's guitars, and you know, it's so cool to see the guitars up close like that. At the same time, it makes it real that, you know, the man's gone. And, you know, I saw the guitars and it just goes to show, there's a classic old saying, I think someone told me Mike Caswell said this, and they were like, oh man, that guitar sounds so good. And he put it down or just held it and went, well, how's it sound now? And, you know, you can look at that as kind of an ego thing or something like that, but it is kind of true. You know, like I was looking at Stripe, I was like, oh my goodness, there's the famous Stripe, there's still got the blues Les Paul, you know, but it was Gary Moore what made it sound like that. You know, the guitar obviously was a good guitar, or is a good guitar, but it's Gary Moore what made it sound like it. So it just brings home the fact that, you know, none of us are mortal, you know, and no, because I was seeing those guitars and there was a big video of him playing a gig, I don't know, mid-2000s obviously, and a lot of the guitars what I was seeing were there, and like, I was looking up and I could, like the telly with the blonde telly with the rosewood neck, I was looking at that and then looking at the screen and he's playing and I'm like, well that's now that guitar, you know, and it's kind of nuts, you know, but he's gone and it makes it real that he's gone, you know. And it's the same thing when I saw the Jeff Beck auction and the massive display there, you know. And, you know, I grew up with listening to Gary Moore and watching him. And, I remember trying to learn Oh Pretty Woman when I was about, goodness, I must have been 14, trying to learn that, you know. Bam, bam, no, no, wow, you know, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, that big vibrato kind of went into me. I liked all that, you know, and I still do. That's how I didn't sit there practicing the vibrato. It's just through listening and watching it kind of soaks in you, you know. So, but no, it was a lovely, lovely treat to be able to see those guitars. Stripe, the pink Strat especially. I mean, we've all seen his version of Red House, haven't we? And there's a really cool, I don't believe the pink Strat's in it, but I think Gary plays the blues for Jimmy or something like that. It's a really good DVD, worth getting. I don't think any of the guitars are in this auction. They were in the previous one. There was a blue one, there was a wood one, you know, no finish. I think the pink Strat's in that as well. It's hard to remember now. But, you know, again, you're seeing it and you're like, I've seen that guitar so many times and here it is. Seeing those the 335 and the 355, I saw those guitars a lot when I was a kid, like 2001, 2000, very, very early 2000s, obviously. And I think like Back to the Blues album, it's hard to remember what the album was now. But I was like, oh my goodness. And my guitar teacher played with 3-3-5. I didn't know the difference between 3-4-5, 3-5-5. It was that shape, you know, the semi-body Gibson. And I've always loved those guitars. And, you know, it was a huge influence in me having my guitar, you know, that. So, yeah, to see his up close, I was like, oh my goodness, that's the guitar, you know. Anyway, it was really good to see. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And yeah, got something out of it, you know. And a big salute to Gary Moore. He was amazing. Doesn't get spoken about as much. That guy, you know, he's like a Stevie Ray Vaughan, where every note counted. He put everything into everything he was playing, you know. There was no holding back with him. He was a serious, strong player. He really, really was, you know. All that, you know. So, anyway, I want to let you be. Thanks very much. If you don't already, hit the subscribe button. Why the hell not? And I'll see you very, very soon. Mike Bradley signing out. Cheers. Bye.